Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the County Commission meeting for the first one in 2025. Lovely snow out there. It's so nice to see. I'd like to welcome Commissioner Hoff to the dais. He will be joining us for the next 4 years. So welcome. Thanks, Pete. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Commissioner Hoff. Here. Commissioner Jones.
Present.
And Commissioner Ghosts are also here. If you would stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd appreciate it. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That takes us to item 3. Public hearing. There is no public hearing scheduled. Item 4, comments from the public. If anybody would like to make a comment, please approach the dais. If you're not from Albany County, tell us where you're from. But if you don't tell us anything, we'll just suspect you're from Albany County. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Richard Dow. I do live in Albany County, and I just wanted to ask about the progress of the rail tie wind project. It appears they've begun construction, and some of us are concerned that they have done so without meeting all the conditions that they were supposed to. And we'd just like to make sure that you are on top of this and investigating what they're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Dow. As far as the county is concerned, they're in complete compliance with everything the county has control over. As you well know, there was a lawsuit filed in federal court. The county has no jurisdiction over federal matters. And so that action that was filed will be in front of Judge Scabdell in Casper in the coming days and months. So as far as we're concerned, everything is in compliance with whatever the arrangements and the contracts we've made with NextGen, now Repsol. Any other comments? Thanks, Ann. Welcome.
Good morning, commissioners. I know that the Albany County Conservancy, I sent you the petition in federal court. I would just like to speak on behalf of the members of the Conservancy in regards to ConnectGen, now Repsol, that they have not been good neighbors, to use Pete Gosar's comment back in 2021, that he was hoping that they would be good neighbors regarding this project. And I would like to let you know that people are really watching the actions of the commissioners, the actions of Jennifer Curran. I go back to what we're dealing with as the Conservancy and the fact that there is a Section 106 violation that's very concerning and a Section 110F violation, which are listed in the petition. So what I'm talking about is how they did not mitigate in regards to a national monument. And I am not pleased, as is the Albany County Historic Preservation Board, in the fact that they sent a letter to the commissioners at that time, letting them know their concerns regarding how that whole Section 106 mitigation process was not being conducted in good faith. It wasn't transparent. It was not happening the way it should. And they never got a reply from the commissioners. They never got a reply from Jennifer Curran. And that kind of stuff is just completely unacceptable. It's not acceptable whatsoever. So I just ask that you know that we know that this hasn't been conducted the way it should be. Obviously, my members had to take it to federal court. And so I reflect actually in a meeting I heard when the commissioners approved Rock Creek Wind, where I heard that, well, you know, environmental historic sites, the feds, that's a federal level thing. They're going to take good care of this. Well, obviously, that process can be manipulated and mishandled as well, or we wouldn't be filing a 70-page petition. So it wasn't handled correctly. And I can say now, after observing for 5 years, along with many people at the county level, it wasn't handled appropriately at the county level either. So, we're your constituents. We watch, we want it handled correctly. We also want it handled correctly from the beginning of a project, because with all these projects, the Conservancy's definitely started keeping a tab of the 21 wind energy projects in southeast Wyoming. And those were not easy to trace or find. We want this handled correctly moving forward, because obviously these companies are speculating that they're going to be making money. That's why this is happening. And so we don't know that it's good for our economics in this community as a gateway community. We know it's not good for our wildlife. So we would like the commissioners to conduct good business and listen to their constituents. So we just want to encourage that stepping into the new year, because it's a new year. And any way we can be of help in any conversations, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you.
So Andrew, real quickly, section 106 and 110, do they fall under the Albany County Commission or the Albany County?
They don't.
Purview? Okay, I just want that to be known.
Correct, but there was no reply in any communication. That letter went out as it should have, because the Albany County Historic Preservation Board is a county entity. And they
Correct.
had no response whatsoever. None.
When did that letter go out? I don't know that I've ever seen it.
Karen Bard sent it, and you would have to ask her, right? But she sent it back probably between August and I'm assuming September.
Of this year?
But that's me speculating that.
This year?
Yes. 2024.
And so just to correct some of the things that I've heard, the process for the Albany County Commission was reviewed at the district court level and also at the state Supreme Court level. And that process was approved or was not found to be an error. And so I have to just push back on your assertions that it wasn't conducted correctly. I sat in a meeting with 5 hours of testimony. Many of your constituents made mention in that meeting of their objections, Anne. So I have the records, I have the notes in a notebook. If you would like me to read them to you, let's set aside 5 hours and I'll be more than happy
I'd
to
be
sit with
happy
you.
to read my observations too. I saw blanks in the county. I saw blanks in the ConnectGen application with the county, and I heard things like, we'll fill it in by Monday. I mean, I've sat in these meetings too. And I am a procedural law person, obviously, or wouldn't be filing in federal court. So it's not making a list of pro or con. I'm saying these people in this room, many of them they've participated too. And it isn't just about checking boxes. When my kids fill in their homework incorrectly, they're checking a box. But then that teacher is going to circle it in red and they're going to say, you need to do it to a higher degree. You need to do a better job of this. So I am the school teacher saying, we need to look forward in the future and do a better job. It's not simply about just going through the motions of checking a box or getting a signature or doing this or that. It's how it's filled in. And we've watched this whole process for 5 years. Many of us have watched it longer than commissioners said, with the exception of you, Pete. And I initially reached out to you about rail tie wind through Susan Moldenhauer. She scheduled coffee for us at Night Heron Bookstore in 2019, I believe, or early 2020. So you and I had a rail tie wind conversation with my concerns about wildlife and historic sites in 2020.
Well, you'll know, and maybe you should share with your constituents, the Albany County Commission has no authority over wildlife in Wyoming. That is the Wyoming Game and Fish. That is a state of Wyoming purview. Now, I'm not sure what you expect us to do. Take over the Wyoming Game and Fish Department?
Eagles
I'm
are
not
an
really certain.
externality. And so I mentioned that to the Public Service Commission, but I mention it to you because they're associated with the socioeconomic well-being of this county. They are an umbrella species. So they indicate the health of an ecosystem. So then Commissioner Gosar, I invite you to think outside the box and know that that is part of your responsibility. And that is what you're tasked with keeping in mind when you think about this county.
And we're gonna agree to disagree today, but I have to tell you, I have been with Mr. Lockhart on we went and trapped eagles on 2 occasions. And so I am fully vested in that understanding. I've also been with tours, a 5-hour tour twice on weekends with groups that represented your position. To say that this commission has not listened, to say that this commission hasn't followed the rules is just beyond honest, quite honestly. And the Supreme Court of the state of Wyoming has said that. So I know you have filed a petition in federal court. That is fair. That is your right. You need to make that case to Judge Skavdal in Casper in the federal court. This commission is no longer considering the rail tie unless it comes back to us.
So I'd like
We have
to-
done our process and we'll move on.
But I'd like to redirect and talk about Rock Creek Wind because you mentioned Mike Lockhart, and that's the night I met him, is when I had read in the paper from a planner, Myra Henning, asking about the cumulative impact, and that is a National Environmental Protection Act
And that is,
observation. So I went to that Rock Creek meeting and I watched the PowerPoint delivered by Mike Lockhart. And I then listened to you mention that, well, you would like to see 5-mile setbacks, not 2. And I saw that energy developer push you and say that the commissioners needed to approve that project that night or there would be litigation. So basically, and maybe I'm just a citizen, it seemed that they were delivering a threat to you. But I just observed as someone who was in the public. And then all I heard you speak is you actually said, I do my part, I drive a Tesla. And I remember that comment specifically because I thought it was completely out of character. And I'm just saying, we need to get somewhere with this. We are in Wyoming. We do have wildlife. That is a benefit to Wyoming. That is a socioeconomic benefit. That is a lifestyle choice. That is something that counties should be focused on and individuals should be focused on. And my group isn't going to become quiet about that.
I don't, your group can do whatever it would like to do. Who is in charge of setbacks for eagles with regard to wind throughout the entire country? What is that entity?
Well, that would be Fish and Wildlife.
Is that a state, local, or federal agency?
Federal, but it starts at the
Okay.
county level. You knew in 2018 about rail tie wind. These people, my nonprofit, did not.
Yeah, so my authority does not extend to the Fish and Wildlife Service, I have to tell you.
No,
And
but
to
you
make
answer,
that-
you
No,
answer to
and
the people
don't tell
that
me to cut
voted
me
for
off.
you.
My authority extends where it extends, and this board authority extends where it extends. You might like us to go and do something different, but you'll need to change the law to make that happen.
But you were voted into office by constituents that want the county commissioners responsive to their concerns.
That I will hang my hat on has been a hallmark of my time in the commission. There has not been an email or a phone call or a tour or a educational piece that I have missed that I could possibly make. So to assert that, Ann, is to not be dealing in the real world. Now, we're going to disagree on this. And this rail tie has moved beyond the Albany County Commission. You are able to make your public comment and we
Two
are sitting
Rivers
today.
Wind was just approved. Okay? This is not going to end. This is part of your job as commissioner. And
fully well.
sending me text messages with the 30 charts focused on global warming doesn't address Albany County and doesn't address my concerns at the county level. And there'll be other projects coming on board. And I'm saying that kind of stuff is unacceptable. It's not professional. I
And
mean,
who sent the first text?
I sent you the
Thank
petition.
you. Yeah.
I sent you a news article that's local. I sent you a petition, and then you sent me the New York Times.
Yeah.
I don't understand the
Appreciate it,
correlation.
sir, if I could intervene.
Sure.
You were gonna disagree. There has been an election. I hold the seat now. I plan on representing constituents. I plan on being the steward for the community. However, what's done is done, and right now we're rehashing what can't be untied. I plan on holding every wind project accountable. And if we're using funding from the wind project to provide some project support or compliance or project oversight, that's what I see the best use of the funds for, is making sure that we hold every project to the letter of the law. And obviously you have a right to speak. I didn't mean to interrupt, but obviously there's a history and it's essentially going nowhere fast.
Well, and I'm just trying to encourage good behavior
No, I
because in the
understand.
5 years
No.
I've been engaged with this, I've seen commissioners come on and go off. When I became engaged with this, Terry was coming on. Sue stepped in. That's going to happen. There's an ebb and flow within government and people who serve government. Okay. But the county has to be focused on what's in the better interest of its residents.
I agree.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? How about online? Well, mercifully, I'll entertain a motion to close the public comment.
So move.
Seconded.
It's moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Item 5 is disclosures. Commissioner Hoff, any disclosures?
I do have a disclosure. There are customers that will be in the regular agenda. Item 14. I've received through my business none of these funds in no way, shape, or form, but I just need to disclose they are customers.
Okay. There, any disclosures?
Don't believe so. Bailey? Okay.
And I don't have any disclosures, any either. Item 6, considerations of changes on the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? I think I heard one for sure.
Oh,
Yeah. Get untangled here. I would ask that we table and remove item 18. I do not have the corresponding quote that exacts the amount for your review, nor in a timely fashion, so I need to ask that we postpone that for the next meeting, please.
Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it. Any other changes?
I have one. I'd like to have 7C removed from the consent agenda. It's the public library.
Okay. Do you want to move that outside?
Or address comments to it.
Okay, we'll move it outside the consent agenda and we'll move that before the
second.
yeah, we can move it before executive. Actually, let's move it to 8A. We'll take care of that.
Good morning, commissioners. I just have one addition to add. I just received an amendment yesterday for our CSBG contract. So I'd just like to get that on and taken care
And do you have a?
of. I don't care. Whatever
Okay, you're gonna be here the whole day?
Yes.
Okay, how about let's do 24A with
Okay.
the CSBG changes.
What number was that?
24A. Any other changes? Okay. Removing 7C, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, less item 7C.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. That moves us to the regular agenda. Item 8, select chairperson of the Board of County Commissioners, just for information. Before we can do anything else, the Board of County Commissioners, we need to elect a chairperson as the first item as the new commission changes. So I'd entertain a motion for chairperson of the Board of County Commissioners.
I move to appoint Terry Jones as chairperson for the Albany County Commission.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay. That motion carries. Terry, I will move over and you can move in.
It wasn't a cold day, we wouldn't take so long to move.
It's not too far to go to relocate. Thanks, Nick. And I have one more in the bag. Yep. Sorry about the wait a sec.
Thank you. What, see, we did need to have help.
Technicalities.
Well, hello, everybody. Good to see you. Right, we will move on to item 9. Oh, 8A, the library. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Commissioner Jones. So, in reviewing the received documents from the library, and this is more of just a point, I'm just wondering about the irregularities in their bid process for some of the items they've enumerated, and they're using a sole source provider, which in Wyoming is kind of a interesting deal because that means that nobody else is able to bid on the project. So nobody local is able to purchase, sell, service. And the county's been hit with some of these issues before where they're forced to purchase and continue to service equipment that's bad without having to do the capital expense of replacing it. They're doing a camera and security upgrade, which I seem to know a little bit about, and they're using a Verkada system. And it's quoted through a company that was just rated by the FBI within the last 3 or 4 months. So just like to make sure that the county dollars are being spent with a reputable company, and it looks like they've already approved the purchase. But going forward, this is the kind of thing that I'm planning on keeping an eye out for and making sure that the public's dollars are being spent correctly. In addition to that, I'm looking at their balance sheets on the credit cards, and there's well over $500 in Amazon purchases here that you can't tell hide nor hair from. So I plan on sitting down with Rachel at the library, but seeing what we can do to clean up the records and make it a little more transparent for the public.
I didn't look at that. So could you tell me, did they pay off their credit card balance at the end of the month?
They did, but the balance doesn't match. So I'm looking at their accounting, and I asked Clerk White whether she felt they were probably invoice numbers with no reference to, and I understand Amazon, but if it's a private business, if I do this myself, it's my money, I'm accountable for it. If a public agency is doing this, that's public dollars, and there's some more accountability that needs to go into it. So I would just ask that the library in the future enumerate some of this to actually show what was purchased and what the budget line was. So thank you.
Thank you, Thad.
Mr. Ralph, which page are you looking at?
I actually did the hard copy. It's page 11 of the 15.
If you're on the website, Pete, it's page 18.
Not, I downloaded it.
Oh, well, it'd still be in
It's
the,
saying-
in the big packet, it's page 18.
That's what,
Credit card
yeah.
register
Okay,
is.
thank you.
And then the Verkada that I'm referencing is this. On page 13, they're justifying the purchase with sole source justification. Is on the bottom of page 13, which makes me a little eerie because the county has spent, I know on the access control system they did here several years ago, $180-something thousand, and it could only be purchased through one company that didn't reside in Wyoming, isn't serviced by a company. Now, they might be now, have an office in Wyoming, but nowhere within 200 miles of Laramie. So, and I know I just signed a voucher for that particular company. So I want to make sure that if the county can purchase it outright without having to lease it, and it's cost effective to own the equipment rather than lease it or pay an out-of-state company, I want to make sure that's done. But the company I'm referring to with the FBI rate is Carasoft, and that's the final 2 pages of what the library submitted. And that wasn't a subpoena, that was an FBI raid to seize information. And that was done in late September, early October. No, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go on to item 9. Present for discussion the
So
offer.
Chair, I think we either have to table that or approve it 8A.
Well, you
or-
acknowledge it is what.
Acknowledge.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'd move to, we acknowledge the receipt of all the documentation from the library.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Now on to item 9. Present for a discussion the Albany County audit.
It's gonna be Jason Lund.
Okay. Hi, Jason. You online in the room?
I am. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yep, I just am not tall enough to see you.
You're fine. Hey, well, appreciate the opportunity to go through the audit report with you. Do you each have a copy of that report, or shall I share my screen so you can see it on the screen?
You
You
show it
can
on
share it
screen.
for the public.
Sure. Give me just a second. All right. Go ahead and zoom in there. So appreciate the opportunity to meet with you all this day and go over the audit report. We have completed the fiscal year 2024 audit that has been submitted to the state of Wyoming and to the federal government. What I'd like to do is walk through the reports that we've issued related to this audit and talk about the work that we've performed and so forth. And then that'll be kind of the first part of the presentation. And then the second part is to talk about some of the numbers. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is located here on page 5 of the PDF file, page 1 of the report. We've been engaged to form an opinion over these financial statements. We've performed work, a lot of work over the different transaction classes here at the county. We've walked through and confirmed cash with BMO, First Interstate Bank, MBS, Wild Class, Peaks, investments, and so forth. We've tested accounts receivable analytically and by tracing to subsequent cash receipts. We've tested fixed assets, looking at supporting documentation for the purchases of vehicles, road graders, excavators, or one excavator, the courthouse roof replacement, and so forth. We've looked at, search for unrecorded liabilities. We've tested revenues by sending confirmation letters to the state treasurer's office, to SLIB, YDOT, and others, and tested revenues by other means, including analytics and tracing to supporting documentation. We also tested a variety of expenses by tracing to supporting documentation and also looking at those expenses analytically. So all that work, it takes us a lot of time to get through that. It takes longer for management there at the county to get all this information properly accounted for throughout the year. And so we really appreciate the help of Tracy, Kayla, Amanda, Bailey, and others that helped us get through the audit. And so based on all that work that we've performed, we have formed an opinion over these financial statements. And it is our opinion that these financial statements present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the county. And so a clean opinion over these financial statements for fiscal year 2024. The next thing I'd like to do is turn further back into the report. It's on page 68 of the PDF file, as I'm sharing here, and page 59 of the printed report. So this report is required anytime that we conduct an audit in accordance with government auditing standards. Those standards require that when we plan and perform this audit, that we consider the internal control structure over financial reporting, and we use this understanding in connection with designing the tests that we perform over the various transaction classes. And then to the extent that we identify any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, we're required to report that here. Pleased to report that there are no findings to report related to this report here. Go a few pages further, onto page 70 of the PDF or page 61 of the report. This report here is required anytime a governmental agency or a nonprofit organization spends over $750,000 of federal money in a fiscal year. Certainly, the county spent more than $750,000, and so we perform this audit. In the current year, we'll flip to the schedule of expenditures of federal awards, which is what this report is directly related to. You can see here, this is the last page of the schedule of expenditures of federal awards. Overall, the county expended nearly $3.8 million of federal money during the fiscal year. Of this, we walk through the process that the federal government prescribes to determine which is the major federal program. And on this last page, you can see that the state and local fiscal recovery funds were the major program in the current year. Within that major program, we look at a variety of compliance points, including activities allowed and unallowed, allowable cost principles, period of performance, matching and level of effort, reporting are the main compliance points that we look at. That's given to us by the federal government as to which compliance points to look at and to test. When we look at these, we look at these for both compliance and for operating controls. And so to the extent that we identify any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, we are required to report that. Or if we identify any non-compliance with these different compliance points. And we are pleased to report that we did not find any deficiencies, material weaknesses, or non-compliance to report. And so clean opinion over that, and a pretty clean report. We audit a lot of different organizations, 14 different school districts here in the state of Wyoming, 6 counties in Wyoming as well. And there's not that many organizations that we audit that get a report like this with no findings in either the internal control over GAGAS or the federal award findings either. So, kudos to management there for their hard work and dedication for this, during this past year. The next part of my presentation is to talk about the numbers. But before I do that, I'd like to pause here. Are there any questions about the work that we've performed or the results that we've reported?
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
Jason, Pete Gosar, I just wanted to know if your audit covered the fair board, the library board, the airport board, what all is covered by your audit?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So the 2 component units are the library and the fair. And so we did walk through and perform audit procedures over both the library and the fair. And the combining schedule is found here on page 51 of the report, page 59 of the PDF file. And so you can see the balance sheet there. As far as the airport goes, we're actually the auditor for the airport board. And we've performed that audit and issued that report. We did that just before year end. That's a separately issued report that we'll be presenting to the Laramie Regional Airport Board here in or maybe next week, I believe, is when they have their next meeting. So.
Jason, any findings in the fair board or the library board?
Yeah, there were not in the current year. They've made some improvements in both of those organizations. We've had findings in the past related to them, but yeah, there were none in the current year.
Jason.
Jason Fadhoff, you have other assets and receivables listed. Are those just a general clumping, or is that those were all accounted for funds or disbursements? And I read, I'm not just referring to what you're speaking on now. I did go through the whole report last night. So you wouldn't categorize anything as unaccounted or sloppy?
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, did that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. All right. So what let's do then is, yeah, if there's any other questions, let's talk about those, and otherwise we can walk through the financial statements. All right. We'll go ahead with talking about the financial statements. Just go ahead and jump in if you have any other questions as we go through this. So let's talk about the statement of net position. So under the GASB standards, the audit report that's presented here, there's actually inside of this report different bases of accounting being presented. And so this statement of net position is required to be presented on a full accrual basis of accounting. So that includes all short-term and long-term assets, all short-term and long-term liabilities. We will look at different statements in here that don't include all of the long-term assets and the long-term liabilities. This presentation, it at times can maybe be confusing for the public, but it is prescribed by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, and we don't have any wiggle room in how this is being presented. And so as we look at this statement of net position, and we compare it, Tracy did a really nice job of putting together a management discussion and analysis. It's presented previous to this page here. As you read through it, it might be instructive for you to look through this. But as we look at this page right here and we compare it to prior years, you see that there is improvement in the balance sheet or the statement of net position as compared to last year. Cash and investments increased by around $8 million as compared to last year. And then in the liability section, the net pension liability, that decreased from $12.7 million down to $8.1 million, as you can see there. And so there's overall positive results on a full accrual basis of accounting as compared to last year. And we can see that as we go to the next page on page 18. As you look this over, you see that there's a positive change in net position of $10.2 million. Now, again, there are some non-cash items in there because it does include the long-term assets and the long-term liabilities. Let's move on to page 19, unless there's any questions about that. All right. So on page 19 of the report, page 25 of the PDF file, as we look here, this is the governmental funds. And as we compare that to last year, we see, again, positive results. There's an increase in cash, and then the liabilities stay close to about the same. But again, the presentation here does not include any of those long-term assets or the long-term liabilities. Let's move on to the following page. Actually, the following page is a reconciliation between these two bases of accounting. This is required by the GASB. On the following page, on page 21 of the report, or page 27 of the PDF file, as we look here, you see the revenues and the expenses, and you can see that the revenues exceed the expenses. If we compared this to last year's, the same report last year, you would see that revenues increased from $28 million last year up to $34 million this year. That the taxes and intergovernmental revenue primarily drove this increase. And then expenses increased from around $24 million up to $25.6 million as compared to last year. And so overall, positive results for the general fund and for the specific purpose tax fund as well. The following page is, again, a reconciliation between those two bases of accounting. Let's go on to page 23 of the report, page 29 of the PDF file. This here shows the commissary enterprise fund and then the internal service fund. And you can see that right there. Let's go on to the following page, and you can see the activity for the current year. This is page 24 of the report, page 30 of the PDF file. And you can see here the charges for services and the premium revenue, and that both of these funds are operating at about a break-even point there. So with that, there's certainly a lot more pages of this report, and I'm more than happy to continue elaborating on more of these pages if you would like. But this is sometimes where I lose folks in terms of if I keep going on, it just is maybe more information than you might need, or maybe than you want. If there's any additional questions or comments or specific areas that you'd like me to elaborate on, I'll hear that now.
Jason, how long have you guys been auditing the county?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's been a number of years. I don't recall off the top of my head. I'd have to get back with you on that.
And it's your take, I would guess, if I'm hearing you correctly, that the processes have improved in that time?
Yeah. This is, I don't, we've reported findings a lot in the past, and, I'd have to go back and look at it to be certain, but I know that there haven't been that many years where there's been no findings. And so this year, there being no findings, that's quite an accomplishment, I think.
That's a statement to the people that work in the county. I think the same. Of the 14 school districts in the 6 counties you audit, is there a number that would reach this level of accuracy on their audit?
Yeah, it's a very good question. You're in the top, certainly in the top 5%. Yeah.
Thank you. And to the people running for the county who have done their budgets, have done the auditing, thank you. Top 5% is a fantastic thing and should be celebrated.
Yeah,
Thank you all.
it does. It looks like a very healthy balance sheet.
Jason, thank you. Were there any comments from anyone else or questions? So are my 2 commissioners satisfied with the discussion?
Sure. Yeah. It's a nice discussion.
Okay.
You need a motion to close the discussion.
Let's do that.
I move to close the discussion in regards to the 2024 Albany County audit.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Motion carries. Item 10.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Present for consideration an amended plat for track 16, less portion and track 16, North 9th Street tracks. Jory,
Good morning,
that's
Commissioners.
that's a town tongue twister.
Yeah. So James Pond and Karen Valentine Pond have requested a boundary line adjustment for track 16, less portion, and a tract in track 16 of North 9th Street tracks. These 2 parcels about 2.5 miles north off Roger Canyon Road. Since this boundary line adjustment is occurring within a platted subdivision, an amended plat must be approved by the Board of County Commissioners. This amended plat has been reviewed. All the necessary information is included. Everything looked good on our end. Your approval is requested.
Do we have any discussion?
I don't have any.
Jory, just to make sure I know what I'm voting on here, that's the, for lack of a better description, the tongue part of that is what is being asked to be separated.
Yes, well, so they're just, the small 5-acre tract is surrounded by, on 3 sides by the larger one, and they're just moving it south to be more in line with the driveway. And that way, the 5-acre tract moving south will completely encompass the other house that's on their property. So they're just cleaning up some lines.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Move to consider the plat amendment and approve it as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 11, present for approval, business associate agreement BAA between Hub International Mountain States Limited and Albany County and direct the chairperson to sign.
Good morning, commissioners. I'm
You look like
Anissa.
Jennifer.
I know. Anissa had to be out of town for a family emergency, so I'm filling in for her this morning. This is just an updated business associated agreement. It is to reflect some changes, I believe, on the national level that Hub sent to us. Are there any questions? Okay.
And
I move to approve the business associate agreement as presented. Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Item 12, present for approval right-of-way grant temporary use permit between the United States Department of Interior Bureau of Land Management and Albany County Sheriff's Office for the access road to Jelm Mountain Communications Tower. Aaron, thank you. Hello.
Hello. This is an agreement between Department of Interior, Bureau of Land Management, and the Albany County Sheriff's Office for that right of way to our communications tower in Jelm. Just to give you guys a little bit of background, we've been working on this project for about a year, almost a year and a half now. And we had brought some documents to you guys, I believe, in the early summer, saying that we were moving forward with this. This is the final contract between the Bureau of Land Management, Albany County Sheriff's Office. It's a contract that doesn't cost anything, but it is a 30-year agreement that the Albany County Sheriff's Office will take over that communications site and provide essentially oversight, management, maintenance for it.
That's right at the top,
It is right at the top.
right in the turnaround area.
Mhm.
I just wanted anybody in the audience to know and understand that.
So this is just for the right of way access,
This is for-
easement on, where I don't even know what that BLM road is up Jelm. Or is this for the
It's the
site?
jump.
It's the Gem Mountain Road. Yeah.
I know there's a number at the bottom. I don't.
Not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but the second item that we're going to be
Okay.
discussing later will be the management of it as well. So,
And you have no issues. It's,
we're changing hands. Instead of being in the United States Forest Service, it's going to be in the hands of the Albany County Sheriff's Office, where it probably belongs.
well, I know there was some issue over who actually owned that site for quite a while.
It's under new management, and we're going to be owners, given how you guys want to vote here in the next 5 minutes. So.
Yeah, and if you could just let them know that you're the sheriff, not Sheriff O'Malley for some time.
Yeah,
Oh, they're
when
gonna screw- they're
when
gonna-
we got those, I saw that on the first page there.
I think everything we get from them still has,
Yeah,
despite when we go back and ask them to change it.
we told them to correct it. Fortunately, on the contracts, it doesn't have any names on there that need to be changed. So
I move we approve the right-of-way grant as presented by Sheriff Applands.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Motion
Aye.
carries. Item 13, present for approval communications use lease between the United States Department of Interior Bureau of Land Management and Albany County Sheriff's Office for control of the Jelm Mountain Public Safety Communications Tower. Sheriff Apple.
yeah, this is the second part. The first one was access to the road to get up there. The second one is to manage the site itself. And so, like I said, this is the package deal. And again, it's a 30-year contract with the Bureau of Land Management. Because we're both public safety, public entities, there's no exchange in funds.
I do have a question.
Go for it.
So does that include snow removal in the winter, or is that by snowcat?
So the snow removal and road maintenance, as you guys saw, there is no road maintenance agreement
Right.
there. That's with the University of Wyoming. They have a site adjacent from us for their conservatory up there.
So if we need to get up there, we'll just snowcat, just like the university.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
snowcat or snowmobile if we need to get up there, but the university does do a pretty good job of maintaining that road as best as you can in the
Right,
winter.
understand.
And is that site still gonna be joint use? Because I believe the Forest Service still has some, microwave link and some of their,
Yes, we have those agreements that'll be coming at a later date, but yes, it'll be joint use.
nobody's
essentially.
getting kicked out. It's,
Nobody is.
somebody's just gonna administer that actually.
Essentially, instead of having federal control of that, we'll now have local control of that. So
Is there any WildLink equipment up there?
there's not.
Oh,
Very good questions? May I have a motion?
I move to approve, the communications lease between the United States Department of the Interior and Albany County Sheriff's Office for the control of Gel Mountain, Public Safety Communications Tower.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you. Present for approval funding agreement between the Board of Commissioners of Albany County, Wyoming, and the Epson Center for Seniors Incorporated relative theatrics and art regional services for the 2024-2025 Community Partner 1% funding. Bailey.
Good morning, commissioners. This is just a few more of the stragglers that are coming in for those 1% agreements that you guys did approve during budget. These are just the agreements. I believe there's still a couple more left that we're trying to track down.
I move we approve item 14 is presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 15, present for approval agreement for the year 2022-2023 subrecipient funding from the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention and the University of Wyoming, Wyoming Survey and Analysis Center in the amount of $50,000 for the funding cycle of January 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2027. Bailey.
This funding disappeared for a couple of years. YSAC has brought it back. And we are going to be a subrecipient of this funding. It is for our juvenile diversion in the community. And we contract with Big Brothers Big Sisters to perform those services, which is in the next.
Move to approve the agreement, for the fiscal year 2022-2023 subrecipient fund. Is that correct?
Yes, it is
Okay.
correct.
For the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquent Program, University, and YSAC for the amount of $50,000 as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 16, present for approval contract between the Board of Commissioners of the County of Albany, Wyoming by and through the Albany County and Prosecuting Attorney's Office and Greater Wyoming Big Brothers Big Sisters for juvenile diversion services in the amount of $47,500 from January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. Bailey.
Yes, this is just the contract with Big Brothers Big Sisters to perform those services on our behalf.
I move we approve item 16 is presented.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We removed item 18, item 19,
We're on
present.
17.
17.
Yes, I have to step there. Don't forget me. We don't want to forget you. I'm sorry.
That's all good.
Please.
All right, before you today to ask for approval for this amendment to the Tyler Technologies agreement that we have with them for our new enterprise resource planning software. What is happening with this amendment is when we initiated the agreement initially with Tyler Technologies, they accounted for us to do conversions of data. Some of the data that they had in our original agreement, we don't have in any software system to convert. So we're getting money back. We're saving money for the conversions of those. One of the things, for example, is general billing. We don't do billing outside of property tax, and that won't be changed with this. So we won't be converting those data things, which saves us money, but will be converted into remote implementation hours, which will be 56 additional hours of implementation. And just a little background for you, Commissioner
you.
Hoff. Through a software upgrade, so we're, with this software upgrade, it's gonna replace our current accounting system. It'll be much more streamlined and efficient and modern. In the past, our previous software has limited capabilities, which would cause audit findings, which was kind of timely since we just talked about the audit, which many of those processes to avoid those findings are done manually through Excel. This software
Through
will-
Excel?
Yes,
Okay,
yes. It takes a lot of my time.
I would imagine.
It was up to date
So-
at one time.
As you saw in the audit report, we have over $30 million in cash, and the majority of that is manually bank reconciled, which is, this is why I'm gray.
I
I wasn't
understand now.
gray when I
Thank you.
started.
I understand.
In addition to that, this will replace other software. We like have Bamboo for applications and employee benefit management. It'll replace that. Software for payroll, which is payroll tips. Some of the smaller departments are also using QuickBooks. That's gonna probably be like a phase 2 of this, where we can get them off of QuickBooks and onto this.
Okay.
It's just not gonna happen initially because are doing a huge culture change. Instead of Kayla's office, Amanda entering every single voucher, or Bailey and Brady have been assisting through the elections. The departments are going to enter their own invoices.
And then it'll auto-populate and then you can see cleared and status and
Yeah,
Okay.
and so also with this process, it will make it so when they enter that, it'll print a little barcode label, and then you can scan that in and it'll be forever retained on that vendor
this is
file.
just gonna take care of manual data entry error for the most part. and
Yes,
Keep it easier to track.
it'll also give us an approval workflow process, which will be electronically date and time stamped.
Instead of signing.
And all your invoices will be at your
No,
fingertips
I'm-
too,
yeah.
which is great.
No, I'm all for the streamline.
Yes, it's gonna be super fabulous, but that's why there's
Super lot of work.
there's phases in this
To get
because
to it.
we don't want to overwhelm everybody with the huge change in learning the software from the get-go and then trying to learn everything over in their jobs, which would be probably lead us to be unsuccessful.
So is this gonna be tailored to the county's needs, or is this a package that's already been purchased that they're just picking and choosing?
Yes, both.
Okay.
So it is a package that Tyler Technologies has, but there's a lot of customization that goes with it, of choices of like how we want the workflow. Like currently, like the voucher system, the departments all prepare the vouchers that you see before you.
Yeah.
And then it goes to accounts payable to enter, and then they do their own
And the
audit in their office. Then it comes to the board here to sign the vouchers. Then it goes back to accounts payable to write the checks, and then the checks and all the vouchers come to me, and then we sign the checks.
I still have counties that hand stamp it, have to fill out the boxes, send it back. By the time the original paperwork makes it, it's
Yeah.
another 2 or 3 weeks before the vendor actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this will
No,
take that electronic workflow and do all of that. And some of those things, like how will 3 commissioners approve all the invoices without like stepping on each, we'll have to figure that part out. We're not quite there yet, but there's a whole lot of things that are going to change, and it's just going to be great. So,
Well, there will be a dovetail off that we will do parallels, so we'll be entering in the old system and the new system for about 3 months. So that's how we'll work through all
Okay.
of those kinks too.
our go live date is April 1st. No,
Okay.
no joking. No kidding. That's my joke.
Yeah.
April 1st,
Good
April
joke, good
Fool's Day. You gotta keep your humor
Yeah.
during this process is what we've
Right.
learned otherwise. You know, doing this conversation on top of our regular job duties and in the middle of an audit during an election year has been very tasking to everybody, and I can't appreciate everybody's help more than, but that's kind of getting off topic. If you have any other questions.
So on April 1st,
April 1st, we'll go live with the accounting package, the finance piece.
so is that the day you pop the bottle of champagne?
No, it'll probably be like the 15th
Okay.
to make sure all the kinks are
Well, we don't even go live for HR and payroll until
July
the
1.
fiscal year.
Oh, okay.
So-
So it might be a little later in the year. Okay.
It might be the smaller bottles.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
April,
two
and then
Personal
parties.
size, yeah.
And Tracy, this will help with budgeting, I imagine,
Yes.
in the coming years, not right away, but.
Yeah, this first year, I don't know that we're going to fully get into that. We might kind of start introducing it through the budget process. But with just changing how the bills are going to be paid is going to be a big step. We've been discussing it and we think it'd be better maybe to have like a hybrid that we'll present to the board. You guys will all have, your own logins where you can view, the software from.
Just for my information, you've got departments using QuickBooks.
Yes.
Is they're using a QuickBooks platform per department, or is it one platform across?
So there's not that many. For instance, like the commissary account, they're using QuickBooks. Public health it's not really a QuickBooks. It's specialized to the medical field. I think it's Office something. I can't think of what they
So they're
use.
just making do with what they
Yeah.
have had so far. Okay.
Yeah. And then of course, the library and the fairgrounds, they also use QuickBooks, but we're going to find a way to, because if we do report for them, they are in our audit and they get audited through us. We'll find a way to integrate them.
Does Tyler have, is that all encompassing with the point of sale? I mean, Mr. Gertsch at one of the previous meetings was getting the approval for card processing, and I kind of was a little aback that the county didn't just have a global platform and it was already incorporated, but.
So that's another office that uses QuickBooks
Okay.
and eventually Tyler Technologies has a planning and permitting module, which might be like a phase 3.
I'm just thinking from an accounting standpoint, trying to reconcile 10 different credit card processes is
I think that the kind of the weirdness with the credit card processing, why we don't have one blanket one, is we all have our own bank accounts.
okay.
So at the end of each month, like all the departments that have their own bank account, which would be planning, Kayla's office.
I'm just thinking from planning's point of view, they don't need to be trying to figure out how to make the credit card go through when there's that kind of thing. So I know, I feel the pain. No, I'm just curious if there's more to the component that can streamline.
Yes.
Pay now, not suffer later kind of thing.
Yes,
Okay.
and like with the general billing that we don't do now, eventually that might be a component that we are gonna do where they can, like David might have to send a bill to somebody for something. For permitting our wastewater permit or something like that. And then they can just receive it in, and then it can also be through our credit card company where you can send out that request. I think we've all got requests for Square, for various things. It's kind of like that where it'll send that invoice out, you click on it, and then it takes you out to the payment site. The Tyler Tech doesn't necessarily integrate with that because there are so many credit card processors out there. And they all are a little bit different. And I don't think that they could program to every single one without, it'd be customization.
No, thank you. I realize it's a rabbit hole.
Any other questions I can?
No, I would move that we approve the amendment to the software and services agreement between Tyler Technologies and the Board of County Commissioners for the enterprise resource planning software implementation and changes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much, Tracy.
Oh, and,
I'm sorry, and
Oh,
direct
and-
the chair,
Yes,
and direct the chair to sign.
second agrees.
thank you. Motion carries. Item 19, present for approval resolution 2025-001, resolution approving official holidays for Albany County employees and setting business hours for certain business, I lost my place here. For certain Albany County offices.
I don't know if you will. Okay, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. So I sent out an email to all the department heads and elected officials, inquiring about, of course, the holiday schedule. There were a lot of responses. I think all of you saw those because you're part of those emails as well. In working with Jennifer and also stealing from other counties, because why reinvent the wheel? Carbon County has a really good chart. I don't know what they use for Christmas and for New Year's. I think sometimes it becomes confusing for the public when we change so much on the days that we're gone, in terms of holidays. This year was a little different. We were, not that we have to follow what the city does or UW or anything, but it does help when governmental entities are somewhat similar in the
It
time
gets it
that
on the
they're-
calendar months in advance.
Yes. So, if we had some kind of something that we went by, a guideline, at least it would be to the public. The public would know, oh, if Christmas falls on this day, this is the day that the county will be closed or whatever. If you guys want to move that way, we did put this into the resolution. We did talk about, the dates that are statutory, and then the dates obviously that the county chooses to be off. We inquired about Juneteenth because Juneteenth is in statute, but it's not a day that's required to be taken off. It's just recognized in statute. So I'm going to let, if there's people have discussion, I'm happy to let anybody else stand up. This is what kind of came out of all of those discussions. And I'll leave it at that.
So I'll open it to the floor for comments or questions. Thank you.
Right. I just have a couple comments. I don't know if I maybe didn't say at the top of the emails like I should have.
I think you're good.
But, and I appreciate Kayla and putting this format. I really do like this new format. I just would like to point out, I realize we have the floating holiday.
And that doesn't have to be. That's just a recommendation.
Suggestion. But I think our employees will be losing 2 vacation days.
So this year we had extra because of election. So we had 2 extra days this year because of election year. And of course, if we continue to do that on election years, where we use county employees as judges, on/off election years, you're going to lose those two days either way. So that's what those extra days were, I believe, other
I
than.
don't think I was including those.
Oh.
So the way I'm reading it, they're losing Juneteenth, Christmas Eve, and the day after New Year's. But with that floating holiday, that accounts for one of those days. So there's just 2 days. I just thought it was important to vouch for the employees. I think it's really hard. We're competing with UW employees, and this is one of the benefits that I know my staff really loves. That's my only comment.
Yeah. I think last year we gave extra time around Christmas and New Year's, and in prior years we had not had that. I should have probably looked at a couple of years, but I think last year we probably had.
Customary, is it flex so the office stays open and half the staff or that kind of thing? Okay. So
I usually come in and work because I get a lot done on those quiet days. So I appreciate that, but no, we are closed.
Okay, I get told when to take time off. I don't necessarily.
Yeah.
Wasn't there another sheet that was a little more in depth than just this one?
So that was the resolution from last year. Did I give you this? This is the new presented one. You should have a copy of it.
Oh.
I tried to get you guys a copy
Okay,
of all of
yes,
them.
all right. Thank you.
So the chart on the front is the statutory holidays that are in statute that the state follows. And then on the back is just something that, like I said, Carbon County uses it. I think it's the only reason why is it's confusing for the public. We hear it. I'm sure Tracy probably hears it.
Yes, and we are not heavy
Yeah.
public
we
face
are,
like you
yeah,
guys are.
So
My compromise, I think, would be to keep the floating holiday and do Christmas Eve. That's my suggestion.
So then are you suggesting define? Because we have it right now in the
resolution that it's defined as which day Christmas Eve, or which day Christmas falls on defines the 2 days that we're off during the week. So,
So maybe, yeah, I don't know the best way to word it, but
So in essence, you would see a Christmas Eve, but you'll see 2 days off.
It might just not be Christmas Eve,
Yeah,
it
it
might be the day
might be the day,
after.
yeah.
the day after, yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that's just to make the weekend longer is the way it looks like it's structured.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
So instead of getting, so say Christmas fell on a Thursday, you wouldn't, if you got Christmas Eve off, it'd be Wednesday, Thursday, you'd have a
Friday.
working Friday and then, so the way this is structured is see a 4-day weekend out of it. So you don't necessarily lose Christmas Eve, but
It gets shifted to
yeah,
another day.
a little bit,
Gets shifted to the
little
day
bit to give
after.
you a longer off time,
Yeah.
downtime.
Well, I think the confusion too from being open Tuesday, Wednesday, or Wednesday, Thursday, and then being open Friday, close, from having those odd, I think,
Yeah.
holidays in the middle of the week.
Yeah, maybe I wasn't reading this all the way. I was just,
And I'm not sure what,
yeah.
how you utilize a floating holiday. Is that just
You just choose, you with your department, you are with your department head or elected official as an employee, you choose that day and.
I like the Christmas spreadsheet. However, I don't think it's gonna end confusion for the.
It might not.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to publish that because I'm not sure anybody's gonna read the spreadsheet. So that seems fine. The employee's choice is fine with me, but I'm guessing that might become a bit of a difficulty for program heads and department heads, and then also the public. For instance, if you have 3 members of your staff, they all want the same day off. How do you describe that to the public?
I
Or do
wouldn't
you just
allow
say,
it. We
no?
I
only
think you
allow
don't
so
allow
many.
it then as a department
Yeah.
head, because we have the resolution that sets when the county has to be open. So you have to be open.
Yeah, and then the Juneteenth, I find it just personal. If it's a holiday said, we should celebrate it as a holiday, or we should take it off the books. I think that the state trying to live in both worlds by saying, yes, we recognize it, but no, we're not going to recognize it. Just smacks of incompetence to me. So I would support the Juneteenth holiday and have in the past, but those are my takes on it.
Anything else for
So
me?
does anybody else have any comments on Juneteenth?
obviously the treasurer's office will be fully staffed New Year's Eve for the last minute arrivals.
My comment would be, thank you, Kayla, for all your efforts in researching this with all the other times, because New Year's Eve in the past, we've had half days, we've been closed, and we do hear about that because of, and we were busy having
Yeah.
our duty that day. The other days, we.
Do you think the big sign out front would alleviate some confusion?
No, there's no doubt.
Yeah, hurt. I do. I think that will help.
I mean,
So that people
short of
don't
a
have to
billboard.
park and get to the door.
Yeah, because.
Yeah.
Bounce off the doors, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that will definitely help with a lot of confusion.
And in driving by in days ahead to see it.
Yeah. I think, Pete, I don't have any problem with Juneteenth. I think the hardest thing is that the city's open. UW is, all places are, we were the only place that was closed. And of course, you don't hear about it on the day of, you hear about it the day after. Like, why weren't you open yesterday? This city was, it's just, and I know we can't follow everything, but it is helpful when the government entities do follow each other, at least some. But that was probably for me and my office. And then plus it's usually in the middle of the week, which can make it hard to. But I don't have any heartburn one way or the other.
And Laramie County does it and most other counties don't do it, but
Yeah, I think, because I think I forwarded the
Yeah.
spreadsheet from all the other counties, which was really helpful to know. Not that it matters, but it is helpful to know what other counties do. And I don't know what any other department heads or elected officials. Not very many of us in here, so.
So, Can I get any comments on making any changes to this, or do we want to go forward with this schedule?
No, I move that we go forward with the schedule as Clerk White's presented. Leaving the floating holiday as is. And I guess my motion would be to exclude closure on Juneteenth. Which I believe is the way it's written now.
That is the way
I was gonna
it is
say.
presented.
I have the Word version pulled up in case.
And direct the chairperson to sign.
Yeah, I'm gonna not second that because of the Juneteenth exclusion.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And I'm opposed.
And make it noted that Pete was in opposition.
Yep, I got that. Yep.
Okay, item 20. Present for approval resolution 2025-002, resolution designating a commissioner from the Board of Commissioners for Albany County to serve as liaison to each board and commission for Albany County, Wyoming.
So I presented, there's the new resolution and then there's the previous year to see who was the liaison. If that's helpful when you guys go forward, I think we should all have a copy of last year's resolution and a clean copy.
Yeah, just a little housekeeping on it. The government ad hoc, I think is the one that I was working with. Albany County Government Relations Ad Hoc Committee, if that was the department heads, elected officials meeting.
Oh, was that the one? I couldn't figure out which one it was.
I think that's what that was.
Okay.
That's a monthly meeting, at least it was.
Yes.
Doesn't have to be, but for us it was.
I think originally that's one that Peggy had created. That was the chair, Jackie and Linda at the time. And then they would discuss all the financial things. It's kind of like what we were doing after the meetings, if there are budget items on the
Okay.
agenda.
Okay.
Kind of discussing, making sure that those are covered.
So that's not the department head meeting?
No. So then we don't have the department head elected officials meeting in there.
Right. Typically the chair is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Haven't typically.
Well, I'm not sure it was done previous.
No, I don't think it was.
Was, yeah.
I
So I
think
just
this is
wanted
the
to
first
show
time.
that that is in there, that if somebody wants to continue it. I won't be that person.
Okay, so are we going to remove the Albany County Government Relations Ad Hoc Committee?
Or rename it.
Could we just rename it as the department head meeting maybe?
We could do that, sure.
Okay.
I would like to present a slate of names for the different boards. So I'm going to suggest Albany County Fair Board would be Thad. Albany County Historic Preservation Board, Pete. Albany County Services Board Steering Committee, Pete. Albany County Mental Health Board, Thad. Albany County Planning and Zoning Commission, Terry. Albany County Public Library Trustee Board, Pete. Albany County Recreation Board, Terry. Albany County Tourism Board, Thad. Albany County Weed and Pest Board, Terry. City County Environmental Advisory Committee, Pete. Laramie Regional Airport Board, Thad. I missed the Laramie Chamber Business Alliance. I've been on that for quite a number of years. I'm happy to continue unless there's someone that would like to do that.
Well, this is a recommendation, I'm guessing, because this is departure from how we've done it in the past.
You're correct in that.
Thank you.
Local Emergency Planning Committee, that. Laramie County Community College Advisory Board, Terry. Laramie Public Arts Commission, Terry. Pilot Hill Incorporated, Thad. Urban System Advisory Commission, Pete. And then the department head meeting, that would be Terry. Prevention Coalition, Pete. Health Insurance Management Team, Terry. Town and Gown, Pete. Albany County Predator Management Board, Terry. And so I would open this for any discussion.
I want to make sure I have this accurate.
Oh, do you want me to just read through them again? Or
Unless Kayla needs it.
I think I got them. I mean, I've got it right now, and then I guess.
I
we
didn't
can
flip the
discuss
page
it.
fast enough to.
I was trying not to go too fast.
So Thad, do you have any of those that you feel strongly about? This is how we've done it in the past. People just picked and then we did the horse trading. So
No, that's fine. I don't have any issues with them. I'm not set in stone. So if there's some trading you'd like to do, certainly.
sure. I've been on the Historic Preservation Board in the past. I am the only pilot here for the airport board and have 25 years of that experience. And then not all of these boards are the same, right? So a lot of these are monthlies and a few of them are quarterlies. And so trying to divvy up that equitably is something that I think we should pay attention to. If I were to give you my thoughts of where my expertise would lie, I think the library board, I've been on it, but that's great. Tourism board, that might be something that is interesting to me, but that's not going to be a make or break. The regional airport board, once again, I'm not going to do too much pouting, but that's the way that one goes. And then I work in the healthcare industry, so the health insurance management team. But those are my expertises.
So do I have a motion to accept? Or you still want to do some more work?
I'm still looking. Pete, would you be interested in the mental health board at all?
I've been on it, but yes,
Is that more in your line?
yeah, sure. Yeah, it is a piece of the clinic that I work at.
I didn't know what the clinic delved into.
Yeah, primary care, but we deliver primary care.
Is there something you'd like me to assume?
Let's see. Albany County Historic Preservation Board.
I don't care about the airport because they are customers.
Okay. Okay, well, why don't I switch you, let's see here. Change. About the LAPC, I know you're on that already. If you want my
That's okay.
urban advisory system.
I'd like you to just hang in there with that, Pete, and not be on the airport board again.
Well, we'll take a vote on that, Terry. This is not a dictation. So if that's how it goes, then that's how it goes. But that's-
You don't have to
that's
be
not
rude
a-
like you usually.
What's that?
Never mind.
Terry, we are peers. You are not a dictator. So if you have 2 votes, you'll get what you need.
All right.
So with that, I have, in my mind, traded the Historic Preservation Board with you, and I've taken the Mental Health Board. Is that?
Yes, sir.
Is that where you are with that? And then it doesn't seem that you're opposed to giving up the Laramie Regional Airport Board. And I'm more than happy to give up Town and Gown if you would like.
I don't even know what town and gown is, so that would be,
It's a pretty simple thing.
okay. Oh, I've heard of it, I just. All right, I would agree to those changes, certainly.
Can you tell me what those changes were one more time?
Sure. So we're changing, Laramie Regional Airport to Pete.
Okay.
And Town and Gown to myself.
Okay.
And, Albany County Historic Preservation to myself. And Pete is.
Mental Health Board.
Correct.
Okay. And then we changed the Albany County Government Relations Ad Hoc Committee to the department head meeting, which is the first Monday of the month. 3:00? 3:30. 3:30.
3:30.
The time's right. Okay.
Perfect timing. Okay, may I have a motion?
I moved to approve resolution 2025-002 as amended.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Can I read those over one more time to make sure I have them correct? So the Fair Board is Thad. Preservation Board is Thad. Albany County Juvenile Services Board Steering Committee is Pete. Mental Health Board is Pete. Albany County Planning and Zoning Commission is Terry. Albany County Public Library Trustees Board is Pete. Albany County Rec Board is Jones. Albany County Tourism Board is Thad. Albany County Weed and Pest is Terry. City County Environmental Advisory Committee is Pete. Laramie Chamber Business Alliance is Terry. Laramie Regional Airport Board is Pete. Local Emergency Planning Committee is Thad. Laramie County Community College Advisory Board is Terry. Public Arts Commission, Terry. Pilot Hill Inc. is Thad. Urban Systems Advisory Commission is Pete. Department head meeting is Terry. Prevention Coalition is Pete. Health Insurance Management Team is Terry. Town and Gown is Thad, and Predator Management Board is Terry. Everybody had, thank you.
Okay, on to 21. Present for approval resolution 2025-003. Resolution designating commissioners of the Board of Albany County Commissioners for Albany County, Wyoming to supervise department heads. Once again, I have a slate. And this is for discussion. Albany County Planner David Gertsch, Terry. Albany County Supervised Treatment Program Director Pete. Albany County WIC Dietitian Pete. Buildings and Ground Maintenance Supervisor Anthony Brown Thad. Human Resource Director Anissa McDonald is Thad. IT Director Pete. Public Health Nurse Terry. Road and Bridge Supervisor Terry. University Extension Educator Thad. Is there any discussion?
I don't have any issues.
None with me.
We have a motion.
Sure. I move that we accept the commissioner supervisory roles as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 22, Resolution 2025-004, resolution setting regular meetings of the Board of Albany County Commissioners of Albany County, Wyoming. Get that resolution? Here. Sorry, I didn't print that one. I might
I
apologize.
just have to look from.
Yeah.
Resolution 2025-004. Resolution setting regular meetings of the Board of County Commissioners of Albany County, Wyoming. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners of Albany County, Wyoming has promulgated rules to govern all official meetings of the board and to provide for the efficient and orderly functioning of a business of the board, to protect the rights of each individual, to protect the right of the majority to decide, to protect the right of the minority to be heard, and to preserve the spirit of harmony within the board and those appearing before the board. Whereas currently the regular meeting time on the first Tuesday of each month begins at 9:30 a.m. and the regular meeting on the third Tuesday of each month begins at 6 p.m. Whereas the utilization of both Zoom and YouTube to broadcast its meetings, the county no longer believes regular evening meetings are necessary to meet the public needs of the public. Now, whereas the Board of County Commissioners of Albany County, Wyoming resolves, Section 1, that the foregoing recitals are incorporated in and made part of the resolution by this reference. Section 2, the Board of Commissioners of Albany County, Wyoming regular meeting times for the first and third Tuesdays of each month shall be set at 9:30 a.m. effective immediately. Do I have any discussion or questions?
Well, I certainly have a discussion. People work from 8 to 5. And whether people come to the night meeting or don't come to the night meeting makes no never mind. You give them the opportunity to not have to miss work, to be a part of their organization. There's a reason Cowboy basketball plays not at 9:30 in the morning, at 7 p.m. at night. There's a reason that concerts are held after work, and that's to give the opportunity to acquire attendance. Government should be no different. The more that attend, the better. So I'm in opposition to the 9:30 for both meetings.
And I remember Commissioner Gosar at the time, candidate Gosar in 2018, speaking on this subject. I think you've done a remarkable job over the last 6 years of recording and allowing replay. But I feel, at least in my role as a steward, that folks should be able to reach out to us outside the meetings and we convey without necessarily needing their attendance. So that their attendance isn't necessarily required, but their thoughts and wishes are conveyed to the commission via personal interactions. That would be my steerage towards daytime meetings. That we have county employees that are missing out on family activities, mealtime. And I don't think that it'd be a detriment to the public interest.
Well, thank you for responding. The YouTube is retrospective, so you don't get it in real time. So that is just a informational piece, which is great. And I think it should always be there. And I appreciate Adam's willingness to host it and have it. But I just heard this morning, you all heard this morning, that we are not available for the public. Now, I don't believe it's true. But I think if you say your 9:30 meeting is 9:30, somebody could say to you, well, I work from 8 to 5. You're not available to me. And then my response would be, yep.
Same goes the other way.
the majority work from noon to 9 or over the?
People
six-
work
okay.
all different hours. All different hours.
Okay.
So that's a conversation that I think is irrelevant because some people are working at 6:30, no different than they are at 9:30. We are a little brother of the state of Wyoming. The state of Wyoming operates from 5 or 8 to 5. We should do the same.
Noted. Well, you'll know how I vote and I know how this will
That's
go.
fine.
But that's the way that goes. That's when you're in the minority, that's what you get.
I did think that we should have a comment in here, saying that if a situation arises, we can have special meetings in the evening if we need to have public
We can
hearings.
set a special meeting at any time, so.
Okay, we don't need to have,
Does
doesn't need to be.
It does not need to be in there.
Okay.
It can be if you would like me to add it.
Well, I just want to make sure that it was clear that we can do that at any time.
Okay. Yeah, and we have before had, well, not all of our special meetings are at 9:30, so yeah.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
Yeah, I move that we accept, let me get this right. Approve, item 22, as presented, changing, meeting time, both meeting times for the Board of County Commissioners to 9:30 in the daytime hours.
Second? Second? Those opposed?
Well, you haven't called for a vote yet. Yeah.
All those in favor?
All those? Yep. Oh,
You just
Aye.
seconded the motion.
okay, I second. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Present for approval resolution 2025-005, resolution to vacate that portion of the 1890 Plumbago Road and the Sabili, that's,
I think it's Beal, but spelled differently.
well, yeah. I get, it's a,
1923 spelling?
Yes.
Yeah,
Or
okay,
19
that's.
1890 spelling.
Is it 1890?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I was wondering if that was a
I saw this-
typographical
I
error.
saw the survey from.
Don't worry, I thought it was a.
And I've looked
Yes.
at that and I think there's something not right there. There is. It is completely right. Easement located north of Sabile Road as it exists currently in sections 1, 2, 10, and 11 of Township 19 North, Range 72 West of the 6th Prime. Jennifer.
So you actually don't have the resolution in front of you. Instead, what I'd like is to discuss this and appoint Karen as a viewer. In the vacation of county road standards, there is a section that allows commissioners to do it by their own motion via resolution. That is helpful in situations like this, where we are cleaning up an old easement where the road was not built and the existing road does currently have all of the easements necessary. In this case, I didn't put this in your packet, but this is the Sabile spelled strange road. The section in red is the section we're looking at. It's owned all by one property owner. So I'd like to start cleaning it up with this one property owner. That negates the need to do a survey because we're not distributing it back and forth. And I'd like to do that for each section of this road where this
This is just dissolving an easement.
it is just dissolving an easement, but it is an easement that was designated as a county road in 1923, even though the actual road itself was built in 1914 in approximately the same location that it's in now. But those easements were not recorded until 1960.
Well, if I'm looking at the map correctly, there's a huge chunk of rock right where the easement is and the road does not. Okay.
Correct.
That's why the road.
In
is
looking
where
at
it is.
all of the map, there's not anywhere in the section north of the current Sabile Canyon Road where there has ever been any kind of there are ranch roads out there. But there's nothing in that entirety of that north section, nor for the section that is south of Sabile Road. So
Okay.
I just wanted to bring it forward as a discussion. I would request that we appoint Karen as the viewer so that she can verify that there's no concerns with existing road or access to interior properties. I don't believe there are. I have done the research on that to make sure we're not cutting access off to a property that would otherwise be served by this easement and
Can I see the map?
yes. And I'll email it all out to you and I apologize
Then
for
don't
not
worry.
getting it in. Oh, here, we have two.
I'm just through there once a week.
Right?
Well, you couldn't keep it open any other way.
No. So the pencil sketch is the approximate location of the 1890 easement. Here, where it comes up, it about parallels it. It comes across about the same here, and then it parallels it down.
Okay.
You can pass that around.
Okay.
So because this is different than what we have done previously, and where we don't have, we had a landowner who approached us, but when I started looking at it, the expense of having a landowner along every stretch of that road, get a surveyor and do all of that, where we have the ability in this instance to dissolve the easement, vacate what was established as a county road, or clear up any concern that it may have been established as a county road, and distribute it to that landowner. So I'd like to do it in sections based on landowner for those sections.
Is that
both
gonna
north and
cause
south.
any issues between landowners as to which parcel is returned to who along that?
So no, because there are almost no instances where this road runs down a boundary line.
Okay.
It is almost entirely spanning. I haven't confirmed that entirely, but this first section, that I'm
It's
looking
mostly
at,
one landowner
correct,
and is not, okay.
correct. So my intention is to present them in single landowner sections
Okay.
so that we can get those taken care of. The ones that require a survey because it divides a boundary or something, we will deal with that as necessary. So I would request that we appoint Karen Bowman as the viewer. You don't have the resolution in front of you. I will bring you a resolution for each piece as we get them take care of, but starting with this first piece, because it is a large chunk and it is a single landowner.
And how do you need this presented? Do you need? all of her
If you would just appoint Karen as the viewer,
For that
for that
specific-
portion, yes.
Then I move that we approve, Karen Sue, Bowman as viewer for the, section, the easement section being vacated. Let's see, Spill Road easement located north of Spill Road in its existence currently in sections 1, 2, 10, and 11 of Township 19 North, Range 72 West of the 6th Prime Meridian.
Just a question before I second that. Do we have just one go at this? So we have to do the whole road one time
No.
and then we don't get to bite this apple again, or how does that work?
What do you mean?
So if we did a section of this road,
Uh-huh.
could we come back and do another section at
Yes.
some time later? And that would still be statutorily,
Yes. Similar to when we vacate a section, like an alleyway between two blocks, you can come back later and vacate an alley between second blocks later.
yeah, the difference being this has been designated a county road
Correct.
in my mind. So I think so if you're fine with it, then I'm just gonna go
I
with
think
that.
we're okay because it's never been used. So
They're
we
using the
can-
land as it exists now without, they're just encumbered because they
Yes.
can't develop anything across the
Right.
property.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that if we're gonna do it, we do it right one time, the whole
Right.
thing, and then we don't have to go back.
I
I
agree.
agree. And I think there's for purposes of making it easier cost wise for the county and for everybody else, if we do it based on the landowner in sections, then we can make sure we don't have to have surveys. We don't have to have all of those things done.
Okay, well, if you'll make sure, maybe put
Yes.
my mind at ease and second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Now, 24A is,
Well,
Yes,
this,
CPG.
Oh, it's 24 first.
Oh, yeah.
24 first, yeah.
I didn't get it written down what it was.
oh, it's CSBG,
Oh, you
but you
still
have a
have-
number 20.
You still have item 24.
Oh, I'm just really trying to hurry this along today. Item 24 for approval, letter of support for Vista Beam broadband.
Vista Beam approached, I believe, Kayla and requested a letter of support from the commissioners for their I'm assuming there's gonna be some kind of a grant application or something they're putting together. It's not any kind of a financial obligation, just that we support their ongoing efforts to expand rural broadband.
That doesn't preclude us from supporting Blue Peak if they were to ask for it.
It does not.
I move that
More the
we,
merrier.
yep, I move we approve the letter of support for Vista being brought.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Terry. There's 24A. Thank you. So we want to present for approval Amendment 1 to the grant agreement between Wyoming Department of Health, Public Health Division and Albany County for the year 2024 Community Service Block Grant.
Good morning, commissioners. They sent us another amendment for this contract, this agreement, and they're just removing a piece about the insurance that was originally in there.
They had the full insurance, so if you're dealing with the private sector where it has it all broken out, so they entirely removed the section and reserved it.
Change.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah. I move we approve the CSBG amendments as presented.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Bailey. Item 25, reappoint Dave Whitman for Area 1, Jim Garson for Area 2, and Alan Reed for Area 5 of the Albany County Weed and Pest Control District.
I have no discussion.
Yeah, so I saw the Alan Reed and I saw the name, but I did not see Jim
So
Garson.
he dropped it off yesterday and I emailed it with the minutes last night. I can show it to you here. You'll pass that down. Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to reappoint Dave Whitman for Area 1 and Alan Reed for Area 5 and reserve Garrison for Area 2 for the next meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We'll reserve Jim Garson for the next meeting. For those of you that don't know, for the Weed and Pest Board, they have to get signatures. I think it's 10 signatures of approval for them to be on this board. So they go to quite a bit of work to be on the board. And it does take some time, and a lot of our board members on Weed and Pest are ranchers, and so they get caught up in work going on. It takes them a little bit longer. Okay, so we shall move on to executive session pursuant to Wyoming statute 16-4-405A triple I. You have a motion?
I move.
Yeah, I move.
Second.
Yep, I got it.
All right.
There's a cadence to this that I'm still.
Kind of like every other one.
When you're out in the audience, you resist the urge to vote with you
I
guys.
know.
So now you're kind of, that's why the first couple were like,
I have
that's
the
all right.
same urge sitting here, so
Oh, I'm-
especially when you're in a rhythm,
Yeah,
when you call for votes, I'm always like, oh, that's not
Yep.
me.
yeah, I
Is
know.
it all
It's
right if
really,
I move that we leave regular session, enter executive session pursuant to Wyoming State Statute 16-4-405A triple I.
at 11:18.
I seconded it. Yep.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Going to executive session. 11:18.
Did you noise make it?
Thank you.
So Terry, you'll just,
Oh, yes.
you'll mute the mic as well as the camera, and then you'll go.
Don't ask me how you do that, so.
Well, I'm gonna learn.
Yeah, I would say Pete could
He's
probably
got a
show
little
you.
console and everything.
Yeah.
Just mute. Okay, we've come out of executive session at 12:05.
I move that we return to leave executive session and return to regular session.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Action if needed regarding executive session. I don't believe there's any action. It was just discussion and bringing up to date. So is there any other comments? Have a,
I move to adjourn.
Oh, I move to approve the vouchers for December 2024.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion
Now
carries.
I'll move to adjourn.
Good. Good, okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all. So now I do. Yeah. Is it just end?
Yeah.
The meeting?